Hi guys, my name is Anastasia Rivado and I'm managing partner at Get Funded Tools. In this video, I will be talking to you about fundraising process for startup founders. At Get Funded Tools, we work both with startup founders and with venture capital funds and GPs to manage the fundraising process. So as we learned, most of the startup founders either don't make steps they need to make in order to have the round closed, or they have unrealistic expectations of how fundraising work, or they start with the wrong step. That's why, for this reason, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll try to be as fast as I can. I will share with you step-by-step process that you should follow in order to close your round. Let me share my screen with you, and here we go. So this is a high-level diagram that you still can get a lot from. And when we work with our clients, we go levels 2, 3, 4 levels deeper on every single step. But for today, I think this will be a good start for you to understand where you are in your process and see how can you take your fundraising to the next level. So the first step you need to go through, and a lot of founders are struggling with getting realistic if their company is currently fundable and if they have proper resources in their network or in their company to secure outside funding. First question that you should ask yourself, do you have an MVP? If you don't have an MVP, your best shot is raising from your friends and family. And if you have friends and family, you should look into them and first of all, get capital from them and build your MVP. For some of you, I'm saying obvious things right now, but hold on, who makes these mistakes or made them in the past? So I'm gonna get to your stage also as well. If you're in seed right now or you're in Series A, this diagram is for you as well. So just bear with me for 1 second, pay it forward for those who are in earlier stages of their fundraising. So you have to go to your family and friends and raise capital from them. If you don't have any family and friends that you even potentially can raise $5,000 or $10,000 to build your MVP, you have to find a way to bootstrap and you have to find a way to make it happen. So find a community of entrepreneurs that will help you to bootstrap or help you to support your journey. Even if you raise capital from friends and family, it's good to have the community to support, not to make the same mistakes that entrepreneurs keep doing over and over, even when it's not their first company. We offer a community and it's called Impact Circle. Entrepreneurs of all levels work with each other, help overcome issues, give support, share experience, share resources. Great value. I benefit from it myself. If you want to become part of it, there are always a very limited amount of spots because it's as much as we can handle. If you're interested in that part, go to getfundedtools.com/impact circle. Okay, let's assume you have an MVP. Do you have traction with that MVP? Do you have revenue? Do you have users? If you don't have users or you don't have any revenue, your best shot, again, if you're not capable of raising from friends and family or putting your own capital, is going after angel investors or accelerators or pre-accelerators. If that's something you have to do, you have to move to the next stage, which is building your investment narrative. This is where it gets really interesting, you guys. Same with if you have traction. This is pretty much the most important step in your fundraising, the most important building block. If you got this part wrong, your investment narrative, the whole bottom, like the whole funnel below that, is just not going to work. and you will have to get back to the step over and over again until you make it work. So what do I mean by investment narrative? Investment narrative, that's something that goes into the foundation of your fundraising campaign. First of all, it's your pitch deck, it's your executive summary, and also your pitch. Those are the three basic elements that you need that should be wrapped around your investment narrative. One of the problems that I see that entrepreneurs are facing over and over again is they create a pitch deck that has very weak investment narrative or doesn't have it at all. And they keep sending this deck, they keep reaching out to the investors, and they have no result, they have no success. It means you don't have strong investment narrative. Invest your time, invest your money in this part, in this block. This is what you have to do before you start your fundraising. If you don't get this one, again, as I told you, nothing below this step is going to work. So it usually takes about 7 to like 1 to 2 weeks. That's what it takes to build this materials to create your investment narrative. Sometimes investment narrative takes longer because you need to do market research, you need to do competitor research, you need to prepare the screenshots of your product. Obviously, you want it to look good, you want it to be designed. So again, here you can do it yourself or come to the professional. Get Funded Tools help startups with this part as well. So if that's something where you feel like you'd rather save time and get to the strong investment narrative right away, just go to our quiz and let's have a call about it. So let's assume that you've created a pitch deck, you have executive summary, and then your next step is practicing your pitch to friendly investors. Another massive mistake that founders do, they've created their first business narrative, they create their first deck, especially themselves without a professional help, and they go and they pitch and they send it to the top tier investors that they have on their list in their pipeline. Massive mistake. Don't do that, guys. You want to practice on friendly investors. First, you want to get their feedback. You want to understand if this resonates with market at all. Another mistake on this step, you pitch to your friends, they're not investors, and all of them will tell you, oh my God, this is incredible. I love your pitch, or they would give you feedback that is not relevant to your industry. So don't fall into the trap of either believing that it's too good or the opposite, always changing it and rewriting your deck and having 30 versions of it. Both of those strategies are a waste of your time. This process should not take longer than 2 weeks. If you're stuck with your deck for more than 2 weeks, get help. Okay, so let's assume you got this part. Your next stage is building large investor pipeline based on assumed investor persona. And I want you to focus on this part, assumed investor persona. The reason why I'm saying that, and again, there are levels and levels deeper into just this single block of understanding how this works. But in the beginning, you don't really know all the details about the investors that will come through, the ones that will invest in your company. So you're making an assumption that, let's say it's VC, US based, Silicon Valley, pre-seed or seed, they're looking for, they have AI in their thesis, for example, and they like, let's say, Eastern European founders. So those are pretty detailed criteria that you should start building. This is your investor persona. It's important to understand that. Second step is your pipeline of potential investors should be large enough. And we're going to get back to that just in one moment. So your next stage that usually takes 1 to 3 weeks is first, analyze your existing network for potential investors. Most of us underestimate the power of our existing network. You can find people that have connections. You can find people that are investing. You can find angels. You can just find angels. Again, anybody can become an angel. If somebody works in a corporation, they've been your friend or colleague for a while, they understand the industry you're going after, they can become your potential investor as well. Don't ignore them. Do your homework. Look into your existing network. Start there. Second, find investor database and search on places like Crunchbase, LinkedIn, PitchBook. There are many of them. You can use, Founders Suite. They have their database. We have database on our website that you can go into of early stage funds. So again, databases are important. They have value in terms of it's a good place to start, but it's very important to filter the database according to your assumed investor persona. After that, add all your potential investors into CRM, tag them by level of engagement with you or your company. So are these investors ready? Have you had conversations with them? Do they know you close, or they haven't even heard about you before? So you have to understand the levels of engagement, and based on those levels, create our next step, which is create investor hooks. So what are investor hooks? Investor hooks are reasons why an investor would look into your company right now. And many founders don't do this step. They just create, a pitch deck and they start sending the deck itself. But something to know about fundraising is that you need to have a sense of urgency. If there is no sense of urgency to invest in your deal right now, or 2 years from now, why even bother? And even my friends investors joke that we're chasing FOMO. They're chasing fear of missing out. If they feel like if they are not gonna be part of this deal, they're going to lose an opportunity of either become part of something incredible, make money, connect to other cool investors, or something specific. The red flag is when investors see that it's not a hook, it's unhook. When the founder comes off as desperate and they're basically saying, if we're not going to close this round right now, we have to kill the company. And this is the worst position to come from when you're raising capital, because obviously nobody wants to be a part of a sinking ship. So you don't want to become that sinking ship in the eyes of your potential investors. So another thing you can do here is build a list of super connectors. Those are the people that can make your interests. There are ways and strategies of working with your list of super connectors to make it consistent. One of the key words in your fundraising flow, in your fundraising strategy, is consistency. If you do one step just one time and then forget about it, it's not going to work. You need to have consistent conversation with your investors. You need to have consistent conversations with your super connectors. Okay, so after this stage, your next step is my favorite, is start outreach. So again, let's talk about expectations a little bit. I have a lot of founders who come to us, and we have an application form on the website, and one of the questions is how much time have left in your runway. And I see founders who come for fundraising help and they have 1 to 2 months of the runway, and it means they're gonna close the company after that. So as you can see here, the average fundraising takes 3 to 6 months of a full-time work. It means that if you never raised capital before and you have 1 to 2 months of the runway, you are in a very, very dangerous position. You need to find the check or start generating revenue yesterday. This is your job as the CEO to make sure you get your company out of that. Raising capital when you have 1 to 2 months of the runway left it's a suicide mission again, because you technically need more time, and you will be running out of money and running out of resources. You won't have time. So it's like driving through the 120-degree desert on a burning vehicle. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be in that spot. Again, if you're in that spot right now, something I would advise you to do is to get revenue, save your company first, make it attractive, and then get back to this stage. If you're in that position, I understand. I've been there myself. It's a tough spot to be in. Get support of fellow entrepreneurs, join our impact circle. It's going to help you to get to the next stage. But let's assume you have enough runway and you can raise your round. You're preparing, so you're starting your outreach, you're getting investor calls and positive email responses. So if you are, it's great. First of all, congratulations, you're doing something right. But if you're not, if you're sending emails, you're sending messages on LinkedIn, but there are crickets, or you're getting very passive response. So the question is, are you targeting the right investors for your stage? This is the question you should ask yourself. Are you targeting the right investors? Even if you're an experienced founder, there is a lot of data that you might not know. You might be targeting funds that already fully allocated their capital and they're simply not investing at this stage. This is the homework you should be doing. So if you're not sure if you're targeting the right investors, get back to the beginning. Look at your stage, look at your narrative, look at the database that you've built, go back to the drawing board, and then do the process again quickly, obviously, this time quicker, until you start getting response from investors. So let's assume you are targeting the right investors, you're 100% sure. And then another question, are you targeting enough investors? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they have 3-4 investors with whom they're having conversations and they're trying to convert them into the round. These are not the numbers you should be looking at. Fundraising is the numbers game. So you should be looking at 200 to 2,000, sometimes even more potential investors in your pipeline. So if you don't have that, if you don't have large enough network, get back to this step, build large enough investor pipeline, go through the steps again. If you are targeting 200 to 2,000 potential investors, you have the right message, you have the right investors, you should rethink your investment narrative or rethink your hooks. Again, check if your deal is fundable. Maybe this is not the time for you to fundraise. Maybe you need to get a little bit more traction. Because if you are targeting this amount of investors and you're not converting them into next stages of your fundraising, you are burning through your network and you're making your deal not attractive. Nobody likes deals that are starting to smell, starting to rot. If the deal been on the market more than 6 months, 8 months, and there is no commitment from investors, it's a bad deal. Nobody would want to deal with that deal. So, but let's assume the positive scenario for those who are getting investor calls and positive email responses. So now is the time to understand your investor persona even deeper. Who are these investors that are getting interest in your deal? And by interest, that's another thing. I mean, having one call, doing the due diligence over your company, and moving towards term sheets. Because if you're just getting intro calls and they're just giving you feedback, it doesn't mean they're interested in investing. So don't fall into that trap. Look for the people who are willing to put a check in your company. So, and those kind of people, you want to scale that. You want to feed new investors who match your investor persona to the pipeline. So you go back to the outreach and you propagate this persona. You find more investors who are similar to the ones that are getting interested in your deal. You're adding them to your CRM and you're starting the outreach for them as well. So almost the last step is to measure results of your investor outreach. Something that nobody likes to do is to look into the numbers. So if you guys are doing the outreach and you're sending, 50 messages a day and you're getting one call and then you're getting 0-second calls, or you're getting, 50 messages a day, you're getting 20 calls, but then there is no second calls, there is no due diligence, there's no term sheets. You should understand these numbers. You should understand the conversions. The good conversion to have from, first call to a second call is about 30%, from second call to a due diligence, about 20%, and from due diligence to term sheet, depends, but I would say, 50 to be safe. Are those numbers, what are you looking at right now in your fundraising? Or do you even know these numbers? Don't skip this step. Very important, very important. So are you happy with the results? Yes, great. Just optimize or scale your process, close the round, boom, happy, great. But often, for some reason, you've done all this, you've created, the pipelines, and you're just not getting to the term sheets, even though, you're getting calls, some maybe even getting to due diligence, but there is something that is not working. And I can't answer why and what to do within this call, simply because I need to understand the details. So I would advise you to get help of a professional and work with somebody who's been through fundraising, who knows the drill, who can look into the problems and find solutions for you, because you can be fixing the wrong problem. And getting an advice of somebody who's been through it is something that's going to help you to obviously save time and get to your close faster. Book a call with us if you feel like we can help you with that. 15 minutes, you're going to get a strategy call, and we will help you to at least identify the problem and identify the solution for it. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. You can obviously get a link to this and download this diagram. Please use it. We made it for you. It's based on fundraising for more than $600 million. So if you do this process, I can guarantee you will fundraise. If you follow the steps, if you don't skip them, if you really truly have a fundable deal, it comes down to packaging it and to running this process over and over until you close the round. Okay, thank you so much for being here today, and I see you soon.